This video is brought to you by Big Bad Toy Store. Make your purchases through my personal link in the description to help out the channel. Furthermore, if you want to support me more directly, you can check out my YouTube channel membership for fun emojis and sneak peeks, or my Patreon. Links in the description. Happy New Year! So I made a little community post saying that the next video would showcase my favorite comic book character of all time, and while I do appreciate how many people said Man-Thing, that's actually not true, even though I love Man-Thing. And I also gave you a little hint in the title, which I'm gonna edit at some point, like maybe in like a week. But so, my favorite character in comics is not actually your typical superhero style character. It is, I don't know if you can see here, this is a little hint, but no, it is Scrooge McDuck. Specifically the Rosa version of Scrooge McDuck. As a kid, I used to have a Donald Duck comic subscription, and pretty much I grew up with these comics. I learned so much about history, about other cultures, about all kinds of things, honestly. And Scrooge, despite what you may think, is actually a very, very complex and tragic character. So whenever I've seen Scrooge in animated form, I was never really quite satisfied, because Scrooge in the comics is not quite as soft as his animated incarnations. I have even more issues with DuckTales 2017. I think that show is straight up awful. I've given it like 5 attempts, and I just don't like it. I don't like the way Scrooge is portrayed. I don't like how any of the characters are portrayed, really. But this isn't a DuckTales 2017 dislike video. This is just a little mini showcase of my custom Don Rosa inspired Scrooge McDuck figure. So this is obviously the Funko Disney Afternoon figure, and you are probably used to his original DuckTales look, where his clothes are primarily blue with red highlights. But comic Scrooge has for the most part always been clad in red, and Don Rosa usually paints his spats and all the highlights of the coat in grey. And like I said, this is the look I'm used to. I kind of wish the hat was removable, but I also couldn't really be bothered trying to resculpt the entire top of his head. Aside from that, his eyes are completely repainted. Originally, the eyes were like blue, and then his eyes were like really far down here, and his mouth was open, and it just looked like he was always like looking down at something, which looked a bit weird. And so what I did was I heated up the entire head, and as you can see here, it looks a bit strange. It's because his mouth used to be completely open. So if you heat it up and you just force it here, the glue will just like give, and when it cools down, it sets itself like this. And then I removed pretty much all the paint on the eyes, so everything here is white, and then I painted in the eyes. The comic eyes usually have like a triangle in to indicate where the character is looking, but I couldn't really make that work, so I just did a traditional like light reflection here. Originally they were all black, and I just couldn't really get behind that look, and it looked really weird and soulless, so I kind of gave up on that. The coat I painted I primed everything white, and then I just painted on with a lot of Vallejo flat red mixed with a tiny bit of black. And I also had to hollow out these armholes, pop the arms off, and then I had to prep the joints and everything so he could bend the arms without any paint rub. It looks a little bit weird now, like there's a little bit of a gap here, but it's because if I didn't have that, the arms would just rub against his body. But yeah, I've been rereading the Don Rosa comics recently, and as usual, they made me cry. And they are something that I've carried with me my entire life. I especially recommend, if you'd be up for it, to read The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. It's a fantastic series. It's very focused on what makes Scrooge, how it follows him through his entire life, pretty much, from being a young boy in Glasgow to traveling the world, and, you know, eventually losing sight of his ideals, and how he becomes lonely, and how his family abandons him, and how he becomes like a real miser, and then his redemption arc. And it's just, I honestly can't really recommend it enough. The art is also gorgeous. And if you're up for learning about other cultures and stuff, like I said, then I highly, highly recommend them. Straight up my favorite comic series of all time. And so, thank you for watching. I know this isn't really like a big video, but I really wanted to give him a little showcase, because I am really, really happy with how it turned out. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.
Don't think I don't see what you're doing. You thought you'd give me a taste of my own medicine, huh? Well, I love the taste of my own medicine, especially when it's free. Keep up the good work, my boy. You're saving me a mint.